Oh boy, I can't wait to go inside my favorite house I've ever had to make more videos about games nobody cares about. Oh! Huh? Lo siento, no hablo inglés. It's over, Luggo. It's just over. Everyone died. Because of you. No, it can't be! Did all of those Cheez-It health code violations finally catch up to me? Turkey, we gotta get the Waffle House back! Who did this? It's... I forgot your name. No. No Waffle House means no money. And no money means no animation. But Luggo, you already did this bit. That doesn't matter right now, Turkey. We gotta save the Waffle House. Help!
Hey! Mission!
What the fuck are you doing?
Well, we heard you needed help, and it's our government-mandated duty to go around helping people.
Helping people? Who would do something like that? Wow, that's out of character.
But we can't do it without a third person, and Tyler only has 2 characters. If only someone else could help us.
Yeah, if only. Anyway, Ostatake Ouendan is a video game developed by Innis Corporation and was published by Nintendo on the DS in 2005, the same year PikaTyler was born.
What the fuck is this Osu mumble rap Ouendan Taco Bell bullshit? We're supposed to be helping you!
The game stars a group of Ouendan, a Japanese cheer squad, encouraging those who find themselves in a precarious situation like PikaTyler is.
Why do you keep doing that? I'm here to help you, not be in this dumbass video.
The game is a rhythm game where in each level you tap markers on the DS's bottom screen to the beat of the song to help the main character of each stage accomplish their goal. Now, I haven't played that many rhythm games before. It's a genre that I'm relatively unfamiliar with. I'm like a Persona fan when it comes to Parappa 2 though. I love that game even though I've never played it.
But I have, and it's awesome. As for me, I've played my fair share of rhythm games. It's not to the point where I'm cranking 90s daily on Osu. I'm not a child molester after all. Rhythm Heaven, Parappa the Rapper, Vib Ribbon, Taiko no Tatsujin, Rhythm Doctor, regrettably Friday Night Funkin', but I do enjoy the genre quite a bit. Now, the Ouendan series has spanned 3 games over the course of 2 years, but you're probably more familiar with Elite Beat Agents, the Americanized version of the series.
The good version! Both of the Ouendan games are exclusive to Japan, but the first game turned out to be a very popular import title, encouraging Innis to release a spiritual sequel the following year catered towards Western audiences. If you play EBA first and then the other games, you shouldn't have much issue since the mechanics stay consistent throughout the series and the plot is thinner than a Dr. Seuss book, so unless you have the media literacy of a Danganronpa fan, you should be good to go.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I just now decided I want to be a part of this video, and to wind things back to Ouendan, we'll be going in order of release here. And also for the best experience, we played these games on official hardware by breaking the law, and we recommend you do the same.
Yeah, playing these games on an emulator is a lot harder than you might initially think. The only reason I was able to capture footage for these games is thanks to the random replay feature that they included, because I guess the devs figured that somebody 18 years later would want to make a video about these games and would lack the ability to record footage without it. So thanks for looking out for us, guys.
Who's gonna tell them there's no replay feature in the first game?
Not me. It's really funny if we don't.
Each stage follows a simple formula. A cutscene at the beginning of each level introduces us to the main character of that level's story and puts them face to face with a big problem, such as a guy trying to get accepted into university, a hoe simping for some pretty boy, a horse stopping a robber just because he feels like hating, or a random businessman riding in on a motorcycle to fight a gigantic rat who's terrorizing the city, killing it, and walking away like nothing happened, like a normal day in Japan.
Yeah, the stories here can get a little insane. I think part of that comes from the fact that I can't read Japanese and have to take everything that's happening in these stages at face value, but it does add to the charm quite a bit. The story is delivered to you on the top screen while the gameplay happens on the touch screen, and it comes down to pressing the beats as they come up. Sometimes you'll have to hold and drag as well, and sometimes you'll have to spin the stylus around really fast, which I'm sure killed a few DS screens.
Unfortunately for me, the first game lacks that replay feature that the other 2 titles have, so I had to record some of this footage while playing on an emulator, and it was about as fun as figuring out how much tinfoil you can put in your mouth. If you play this game, then please, for your sake, Module. Secure an official copy of this 18-year-old game through legal means. Due to the nature of games like this, all of your attention is going to be focused on the bottom screen. Meanwhile, you can actually see more of the story unfold on the top screen. The scene will change depending on how well you're doing. It's a detail that you can never fully appreciate while playing the game, but it's cool that they put so much effort into something most people won't get the focus on. There are multiple checks throughout each song. If your health bar is above half, then you'll pass the check and the character will overcome whatever obstacle they're facing. Conversely, however, if your health is below half, then you'll fail the check and the person you're trying to help will die. I'm joking! Clear the song and the character succeeds at whatever they're doing. Run out of health, however, and you get a game over and this guy shits himself.
You know, if I had a nickel for the amount of times I've had to play a rhythm game where you have to stop someone from shitting themselves, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. But anyway, I think it's about time we talk about the track list. Every song in this game is taken from a popular J-pop artist. So that means I have no idea what the fuck any of these songs are. As you may expect in typical rhythm game fashion, the earlier songs are a lot simpler and the later ones get a lot harder. There's some really good stuff in here. Some of my personal favorites are this one where you have to help this one guy impress his crush during a festival, and also this one song where you help this old guy regain his motivation to create pots. I can't exactly gauge how popular these songs are because, yet again, I'm not Japanese. But a lot of these songs here are really, really good.
Okay, nobody cares about your stupid opinion, Tyler. Out of every game, I think Ouendan 1 is definitely the weakest due to its track listing among other minor nitpicks that we'll get into in just a second. But really, the lineup isn't half bad here. My favorite ended up being the funny rat song that I was talking about just a second ago. I mean, I like the tune and all, but dude, that scenario is so freaking good, and the main character might just be the biggest Chad out of literally anyone else in the whole series. He is such a badass for that.
That's not an accomplishment. I can go fight a rat in my kitchen right now if I wanted to.
Though that one Office song is no doubt my least favorite, I don't like listening to it at all, and playing it is even worse. The last spin marker should be considered a war crime. Anyway, part of the reason I think this game has the weakest lineup is because I don't really find most of the songs in the middle section of the game to be that memorable, and the charting here in comparison to the later games isn't anything crazy. When you beat the game, you unlock Hard Mode, which has more complex charting and a different Ouendan leader, and when you beat Hard Mode, you unlock Harder Mode, where you play as women, which is pretty unfortunate. It's also unplayable on an emulator, so don't do that! The charting here is mostly the same as Hard Mode, with some minor alterations and the beats being mirrored, as well as being a lot smaller and appearing a split second before you have to hit them. Learning the songs in this difficulty requires some trial and error. Missing even one note is extremely punishing and will usually result in you losing your rhythm and messing up the following notes and dying.
And this isn't exclusive to the higher difficulties either. Missing one note is more often than not gonna end your entire career and livelihood. There's also an annoying quirk with this game where you constantly lose health, and this can be even more annoying when there's no notes for you to hit and you just die for no reason. You might say that this is just me being bad for it being this low anyways, but I will hit you with the counterpoint of shut the fuck up, you stupid bastard. How about you go fucking kill yourself?
And that strictness applies to every game. On the harder modes, there's no wiggle room for error. But when you do nail those harder difficulties, it's insanely fun. This probably applies to most rhythm games, but playing on the highest difficulty really is the best way to play.
I guess we should also talk about this song as well. When you're near the end of the game, you'll unlock this much slower paced and mellow song as a way to break up the action. Every other song in this game is fairly upbeat, but this one slows things down. It follows a dead boy who's trying to reconnect with his girlfriend to tell her he loves him one last time. This is a really great moment in the game, and it shows you that Riz can transcend your own lifespan and last in eternity. Oh hey, the world's ending. The finale of Ouendan involves a meteor coming down to end the world, like most meteors do. So the Ouendan use the power of friendship and rally together all the characters you've come across to stop the meteor. This song is really good, and it's actually the opening theme for Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh well great, you just ruined it for me.
But it's really damn hard, as it has the most notes for you to hit. They all come at you extremely fast, and it requires you to complete 4 spin markers in a row. By the time you're done with it, you're gonna have a bigger wrist injury than if you tried jerking off at supersonic speeds. Especially on the harder difficulties. It gets really stressful.
Yep, and if you lose, the whole world gets destroyed. And worst of all, you have to watch the 40-second long opening again. You see, Ouendan 1 had this genius idea of not loading in the full level by the time the intro was over, so there's no way to skip the short title cards at the start of each song. It's not much of a problem for most of the game, until you get to this part. I've never tried perfecting this song before, and don't.
But anyways, scary finale aside, Ouendan 1 is a good game, but has a few little blemishes that end up dragging it down a little bit. Also, that's not mentioning the fact that it's not American, which is pretty annoying. God, if only this game was made for true American patriots such as myself.
Well, you're in luck, because enough people outside of Japan imported Ouendan that Innes saw that there was interest in a game like this in the West. So, in 2006, America was blessed with Elite Beat Agents, and if there's any game in the series that you're familiar with, it's more than likely this one. Now, because Japan invented male cheerleaders, we decided that secret agents were a lot more badass. The EBA essentially served the same purpose as the Ouendan, going around helping people with their problems, but instead of listening to, they play awesome songs such as
And the agents themselves, well, I think they have a lot more personality compared to the Ouendan. Agent J in particular is just, well, he's just so cool. And in the songs, they have a lot more unique animations. In Ouendan, there are only a few unique animations, and they're all reused across every song, but in EBA, each song gives them at least one unique thing for them to do. I mean, look! They're doing the YMCA pose! That's a pretty cool bit.
yeah, and the agents actually get paid properly.
Alright, calm the fuck down, sir. The agents also have their own designated leader, unlike the Ouendan. Commander Khan. He sends the agents out and around the world on their escapades, which is pretty neat.
The track listing is stuff I'm a lot more familiar with this time around. I popped off when I saw YMCA was in here, and this has gotta be the only Nintendo game with September in it. What the fuck?
I think I like every song in here, honestly. Makes No Difference by Sum 51, YMCA by the Village People, ABC by the Jackson 5, September by Earth, Wind & Fire, Material Girl by Madonna, and Rock This Town from the Cars game. Like with Ouendan, these songs are all covers, and in some cases, I think I like the cover more than the original. Oh yeah, I also really enjoy Canned Heat. Not playing it though, because that makes me want to dip my balls into a fucking trash compactor. They must have been cooking like Chef Pee-Pee when they did the charting for this one. Because this cooking sucks! The first part is horribly offbeat, and it's really easy to throw you off. I don't think songs being offbeat in a rhythm game is an inherent flaw. I mean, that's why Lockstep in Rhythm Heaven DS works. But when it's just out of nowhere for this one song, and not to benefit it, mind you, it feels really, really bad.
Canned Heat is absolutely the worst case of that, but there are a handful of other songs I can't stand either. Let's Dance is boring and feels like it goes on forever, and Born to Love You, like, the idea behind helping Leonardo da Vinci, who's really down bad for Mona Lisa, is cool and all, but why out of every Queen song did they choose this slow one with the awkward charting and another illegal-ass spin marker at the end? Don't Stop Me Now was right there.
The game was also going to include Livin' La Vida Loca.
You mean the Shrek 2 song?
Yeah, that one. You can even see it in one of the trailers. It was originally going to be where Makes No Differences in the final game, but honestly, I feel like I prefer what we got.
And since they decided Crushing Your Soul was a staple of the franchise, You're the Inspiration is here as the slow ballad song for this game, starring a young girl whose father leaves on Christmas and never comes back. But not because he went shopping, he just died. We don't know how it happened. He just died. The whole level follows the girl and her mother remembering him and ends on one final reunion the following Christmas. I love how these games can be so silly one moment and still have sweet, heartwarming stories the next. It gives them so much soul.
Yeah. But anyways, fuck your sappy bullshit, the world's ending once again. This time, aliens are invading and enslaving the human race, putting a permanent ban on music. Obviously, since this is a rhythm game, this doesn't fly with the agents, so they come back and once again rally up everyone you've encountered throughout the story to fight. The song here, Without a Fight by Hoobastank, is one of my personal favorites. Probably my favorite final stage song in the entire series. It gives off the vibe that this is the end of humanity. As well as the game can, when the gameplay is just tapping colorful circles. This is also the shortest song in the game, only having 2 checks, and when it ends, well...
Oh, that was a pretty good game. Oh hey, they're back thanks to the power of the most epicest song you've ever heard, Jumping Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones. Forgive me, I'm uncultured. After you get arthritis and realize this song is worse than the one that came before it, the agents kill the aliens with a giant laser and flee the scene before the proper authorities find them.
So yeah, That's Elite Beat Agents. There are a few quality of life things in here as well, like being able to skip the intro cutscene this time, which is a godsend, considering the opening for Without a Fight is a minute long. Also, they added the replay mode, which gave Luggo the ability to make this fucking video.
Thank you, Innes. Just don't ask me how we got our hands on these games.
They also added a multiplayer mode, which is impossible for me and Luggo to play considering it's not online and we live on opposite sides of the country. But at least you can play with yourself in this mode, and it feels fantastic. Wait.
Elite Beat Agents is really freaking cool. The song listing is better, the new features are great. I mean, for their one chance to make an American game, Innes did a damn good job. But sadly, we can't stay in America for very long. For the last entry in the series, we're going to go back to Japan. Moro Neketsu Rhythm Damashi. Oh, Moro Neketsu Rhythm Damashi. This is going to take a while. This is going to take a second. Moru Neketsu Rhythm Damashi Ostatake. Moru Neketsu Rhythm Damashi Ostatake Ouendan 2, or as I like to call it, Ouendan 2, was released in 2007. The original Ouendan are back and better than ever, this time joined by a rival Ouendan group wearing the color blue.
It's like I always say, the greatest rivalries are between red and blue.
Well, actually, the red is on the left and the blue is on the right this time.
Oh my god, let me dream, you ginger bastard!
So because cheering is a competition apparently, you jump between both sides of the political Ouendan spectrum. The core gameplay remains the same as it's always been. For a series like this, it's sorta hard to add more to it without feeling tacked on. It's a rhythm game after all, and the best thing you can do in a rhythm game sequel is refining the formula. And Ouendan 2 does just that. Personally, I think this game has the absolute best track lineup by far. Real Life Heart, Pop Star, Zoku, Glamorous Sky, Samurai Blue.
Yeah, no one cares. My favorites are Zenryoku Shonen, which is probably the best opening level in the entire series, Popstar, Juliani Heartbreak, Shonen Heart, which is by far my favorite song in any of the games. Monkey Magic gets bonus points for being the only English song in here, and Kibun Jojo is also pretty good.
And it's not just that the songs are really damn good, but also the charting is superb. Even on the lower difficulties, the game is still super fun. Meanwhile, on Insane Mode, they start breaking the law and your hands and your balls all at the same time. It gets freaking ludicrous, but in a good way. Mastering these songs is beyond satisfying due to how they push your poor hand to its absolute limit. And for the hardcore fans, there's an option to disable the little rings that zoom in on the markers, giving you not even a second to react to them. You'll live and die by your muscle memory with this option turned on. Oh, and now you can skip the outro to the songs too, which is cool.
It's also a really awesome secret buried in this game as well. But it involves a little cheating. So in the summer of 2007, you could go to these DS download stations. You could download the agents from the last entry into the game. There's this little button you can press on the title screen and it replaces the Ouendan with the agents. This is so damn cool. Though, the agents have the exact same animations as the Ouendan. It makes sense because that'd be way more work than what it's worth for what's meant to be a nice little bonus, but regardless, this is still cool as shit. Though, seeing as you only had 2 months to get this, the only way to get it now is by cheating. So here's the action replay code to activate it. Thank me later.
This is probably my favorite rhythm game ever. I mean, there's not much competition, I suppose. But I mean, there's a lot to love here. What truly makes it special is just how charming the whole thing is. This game has my favorite stories in the whole trilogy.
Luggo, do you play Ouendan for the fucking plot?
Yeah, I do play Ouendan for the plot. No, but in all seriousness, there's a lot of moments where you'll see someone from one level show up in another one as a background character. The other games do this too, but Ouendan 2 does it the best. The very first stage follows the main character from the opening level of Ouendan 1, but a few years later trying to find a job. And at the end, he becomes a true American.
Holy crap! Donald Trump! Hello, Peter.
There's a level with this guy who turns into a werewolf whenever he sees anything round, and he's trying to hang out with his girlfriend without her finding out. The ultimate Riz blocker. Ladies, get yourself a man who will eat balls for you. She ends up finding out in the end, but thankfully for him, she's a zoophile. Of course, you have your sad level too. I believe is probably my least favorite ballad song-wise. Don't get me wrong though, it's still good. But in terms of story, this one is the best. It follows this girl who's jealous that her sister is a talented ice skater and that everyone gives all of their attention to her. However, that night, on her way home from practice, her sister gets hit by a car and dies. Regretful of the last words she said to her, she tries to carry on the legacy of her talent and ends up becoming an excellent ice skater herself. Surprisingly though, that's not my favorite story in the game. The second bonus level tells the story of a boy who has a crush on this one girl in his class, though he comes to learn she's moving away soon, so with the help of his friends, they try to show her just how much they care about her before she leaves. The song for this level being the beautiful track, Glamorous Sky. My favorite level in the whole series by far. The story is heartwarming and touching, the song is wonderful, and the charting is perfectly intense. So Tyler, what's your favorite story?
My favorite story is Shonen Hearts, where you have the old guy who rallies up all the animals, and he flies away to an island, and he fights all the creatures, and he opens up Disneyland. Yeah.
Wow, PikaTyler, that was very touching. I also just like the inclusion of the rival Ouendan in general. Not just because it gives you a lot more characters to play as, I mean, I guess that doesn't really matter, but I like how despite them trying to one-up each other, they still greatly respect one another. In the finale, the sun decides to turn off for some reason and the world begins going through another ice age. The Ouendan tries to save everyone, but it's colder out here than a Twitter hot takes thread. The rival Ouendan group tries to help as well, but they almost die, so the other Ouendan saves them and then they die instead. But then they rip off the EBA and Jesus and come back to life. Everyone now working together to save the planet to the tune of...
世界はそれを愛と呼ぶんだぜ.
Yeah, that song. There's something even more climactic about this finale than the other two. It might be because this is the last song in the series, but I think the choice of music fits well, as the final song is the most triumphant one, playing as you watch the world heal. It's wonderful. Ouendan 2 is awesome. It has a wonderful track listing, great quality of life improvements, and oozes with heart. I love this game so much that I went out of my way to S-rank every song on Insane Mode. It's the cultivation of everything that makes Ouendan an Elite Beat agent so good, and I can't get enough of it. So, what about that 3DS title?
There is no 3DS title. They killed it.
What, you mean they just stopped?
Yeah, you fucking idiot. That's what I just said, you deaf bastard. Ouendan 3 was proposed for the 3DS. Naturally. With more powerful hardware, it only makes sense. But Nintendo being Nintendo turned it down because they hate fun, and that marked the end of the series, unfortunately. Despite how fun these games are, they didn't hit a stride with general audiences and didn't sell all that well. Which sucks ass considering how much money they probably spent licensing out all the songs for these three games. Outside of a few cameo appearances in Smash Brothers, we haven't seen the Ouendan or the Agent since, and with the Switch being a home console that doesn't prioritize the touchscreen to the same extent the DS did, I can't imagine these games ever coming back in the modern day.
Yeah, I mean, the best modern adaptation of these games we've got is Osu.
Luggo, we are not talking about Osu. We're not going to become degenerates just for the sake of YouTube content, man. Come on.
No, wait, Tyler. Osu was actually inspired by Ouendan, hence the title.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
No! It can't be! No! No!
Now, I don't really know that much about this game. I'm really only here to play the Chef Pee-Pee song. It's neat and all, but playing with a mouse just isn't the same as playing with a stylus, if you catch my drift.
Even if you can look past the fact that everyone who plays this game is a sweaty virgin incel who lives in their mother's basement, the modding scene for Osu is actually pretty impressive. Hell, some people have ported EVA and Ouendan songs into here. I'd say it's neat, but I already want to take a shower after praising this game, even the slightest amount.
Tyler's right. No disrespect to anyone who likes it, but after installing the game, I got the sudden urge to start moderating some Discord servers, so I think we better stop talking about it for now. For what it is, Ouendan and EBA had a good run, and I think they really peaked at their last title. Not a bad way to end things off at all.
Oh yeah, by the way, whatever happened to your house, Luggo?
Yeah, that's the entire reason why we're here, and we've accomplished absolutely nothing by doing so. You better make this worth our time.
Oh, it's okay. Craig did a better job than you guys ever could have, and he didn't have to sing or dance or use copyrighted music or anything, really. Anyway, it was nice having you guys, but, I gotta head out, so, bye-bye.
That's stupid.